Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today we're going to be doing some work on the 61 Cadillac. I think it's going to be a really cool project, really good build. It's a very clean car body-wise. It's very straight. We have all the interior components, but it all has to be redone. Has some really kick-ass aftermarket gauges in the original cluster. They did a really good job putting those in there. It is on air ride. We're going to replace this system with the digital system. We have all the trim, we have all the glass, we have new front and rear windows. These rear windows are still in the car. These windows are in storage. We have all the weather stripping, I believe. That's the project for today. We're going to pull out this 5.3 LS motor and we're going to replace it with a Gen 4 aluminum 5.3 motor. We're going to gap the rings, put in new bearings. This engine will get an LSA supercharger and go back into the Cadillac. So today we gotta unload this motor, get it on the engine stand. I bought this in a junkyard out of a 2007 SUV. I sent it to a local machine shop to have them freshen it up. I just wanted some machine work. I wanted new rings, new bearings, just freshen it up. They told me it was ready for me to pick it up. I got it home. I went to put the new cam in it. The cam stopped at the number 3 lobe and wouldn't go in anymore. So I stopped right then and I took the motor back to the machine shop. I asked them about it and their response was, well, what's the problem, Robert? I said, well, the problem appears to be your machine work was bad because the cam won't go all the way in. So they went to their shop, they grabbed an old camshaft that they had laying around. It wasn't my camshaft. And they took a block of wood and they hammered that camshaft into the block. And then they put a couple of bolts in it and they spun it. And as they were spinning it, it was making screeching sounds, kind of like the Mercury motor was making, the Meteor motor. And he said, well, there you go, Robert. So I went back inside and I was like, what was that, man? What are we doing here? And he said, well, it'll wear itself in. Those cam bearings are soft. It'll wear itself in. And I said, well, at that point, we're gonna have hot marks on the camshaft. There's gonna be material all in the motor. It's just gonna get everywhere. There's gonna be a problem with that. And he wasn't willing to work with me, so I took the motor to another machine shop and I had them look it over. And he found that the cam bearings were oblong when they were put in. He found that the piston rings that were put in are not for an LS motor. And he said he could fix the motor, so I paid him and bought the parts, and he had the motor for almost a year. He had this motor. And I called him periodically. I wasn't in a big hurry for it, but a year, that's a long time. I called him one Wednesday afternoon and he said, okay, man, your motor's ready. You can pick it up on Saturday. I called on Saturday and there was no answer. And about an hour later, I get a call from his number and it's his wife. And she said that her husband had passed away that morning. And so it took me almost a month for them to go through the shop and go through all the stuff. And then they allowed me to come in and identify my engine. And I identified it and picked it up and it had not been touched for a year. From the day he diagnosed it and I went to his shop and looked at everything and we've ordered all the parts, it hadn't been touched since. So for him to call me on a Wednesday and say it's ready to pick up on a Saturday and then died that Saturday morning, just crazy. I've got $1,500 worth of machine work in this motor and it still needs more work before it can be used. So I just pushed it to the side in storage and left it there for years. That's the story of the LH6. We're gonna revive it, we're gonna bring it back to life, we're gonna put an LSA supercharger on it, and we're gonna put it in that 61 Cadillac. All right, let's cut off this wrapping and see what's underneath there. Very nice. Well, the grease I put on it to preserve it while it's in storage did its job, but it definitely sealed it up. There's no rust in the cylinder walls. Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. We've got to take this top cover off, take the oil pan off. We got to pull out the rest of the pistons and rods and send the motor back to the machine shop and have them replace the camshaft bearings and hot tank and clean it up, get all this stuff off of it. And we'll clean up the pistons, get the new rings, put the new bearings and everything in, and she'll be good to go. We got to source a few parts for this motor because I think we're missing the front and rear covers and a couple of sensors and the upper cover. Since this is a Gen 4, it has the oil passages up here we have to block off, so we have to buy that special cover. Oh yeah. Yeah, as Derek says, hook your peepers on this one. She was greased up pretty good. It's missing a piston there because that's where they pulled one piston and rod and determined it had the wrong rings when they found the bad bearings. There was also a set of heads that I had sent with this motor to be redone, and every one of the valves leaked in that new head before I even put the motor together. Just terrible machine work. Let's take a look under the pan. I can do that with one hand. Whoa. There we go. Pan's pretty clean. Look in there at that. This is the Gen 4 rods. Luckily they numbered them all. I'm sorry about that. Let me move you guys around. Just wanted to show you. Nice. Really saved everything doing that too. This is a heavy WD-40. The bearings in those and the bearings in the crate are in really good shape. So I'm not going to try to get the pistons out of it, but we don't have to do that today. Today was just about getting the motor here, get the motor out of this one. So that's our plan for today. All right, so we've already started taking the motor apart, took a few things off of it. We took off the intake, we took off the water pump. I've taken off valve train on this side. I'm gonna pull the rest off on this side. And there we go. Either pull the heads off now or pull them off when we get her out. We gotta have the heads off because they're gonna go to the machine shop and go back on the motor. Hold on, we get caught in there again.
It's off.
There we go. There's a mess. Whoa.
Now we need up. And then we need some straightening up.
Well, the engine transmission are out. But unfortunately, we did not drain the transmission fluid. And there is a river of transmission fluid on the floor. What a mess to clean up. Stay tuned for more to come on the 61 Cadillac. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Dad Bods and Hot Rods Garage.